Hi, everybody. Miss Mills here. Just wanted to touch base with you on the article from Time for Kids. This is the one about the graphic novels, and it talks about one of the authors. So we're going to dive right in and go straight to the article. This comes from Time for Kids from March 27th, 2020, and the title of this issue is called Inside the Rise of Graphic Novels. So this is going to be the cover story. All right. Sorry about that. Took me a minute to figure that out. All right, so we're going to look at this heading deck. It says, Time for Kids, Shay Mons learns about a new wave of graphic novels for kids that's changing the way people think about comics. When Raina Telgemeier was a kid in the 1980s, she fell in love with comics. They were the perfect combination of all the things I liked: characters and stories and humor and artwork, she told Time for Kids. But she had a problem: a shortage of reading material. Two types of comics were widely available to kids. There were comic books about superheroes, but those weren't her thing. She wanted comics that told stories she could relate to as an ordinary kid. And there were newspaper comic strips. Telgemeier loved some of them, especially Calvin and Hobbes, but she wanted more. At around 10, she started drawing her own comics. 23 years later, she published Smile. It's about Telgemeier's middle school experiences with braces and dental surgery. Before Smile was published in 2010, it wasn't clear the book would succeed. People in the publishing industry had doubts. They figured kids wouldn't enjoy a graphic novel about an average girl. They were wrong. Since then, Telgemeier has published several more popular graphic novels. There are more than 18 million copies of her books in print. Telgemeier's success has made a big impact. Industry experts say she paved the way for many more graphic novels for kids. Then and now. Comics have been around since at least the 19th century. Traditional comic books are short. Often, they're about adventure or superheroes. Comics have this history of either being very funny and silly or having a lot of punching things, Gina Galgolino says. She works on graphic novels at Random House. That's a publishing company. Today's graphic novels are different. Authors can use comics to tell a book-length story. It can be any genre. It can be realistic. In 2018, sales of graphic novels for kids and teens jumped by more than 50%. Compare that to sales of printed books across all categories. They increased by about 1%. Real reading. As sales boom, attitudes about comics are changing. This year, New Kid became the first graphic novel to win the Newbery Medal. That's a prestigious award in children's literature. New Kid author Jerry Craft said that when he was a kid, he read mainly comics. He knew some adults didn't approve. In certain schools, if they saw you reading a comic, they would confiscate it because they thought it was rotting your brain. He says, they didn't realize the amount of imagination and storytelling and vocabulary in those comics. New Kids Newbery shows that many kids already understood graphic novels are real books. It's a victory for all graphic novels, Kraft says, by Shay Mons. So here are those power words that we saw in the previous Time for Kids article. So the word genre was over here, and it refers to a category such as a realistic fiction, science fiction, or mystery, usually referring to books. Prestigious is an adjective that means important or respected. So I just wanted to go over the illustrations with you because I think they're really engaging. If you see here, this is the beginning of it's a tiny little comic strip here. In fact, this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels. So in one of your assignments this week, you're supposed to create your own comic strip with 6 panels. So this is just one way that you could do that. So it says, meanwhile, at the bookstore. And then your main character is standing here and she says, comic, wow, it's a real comic craze. And it says, it's our ace reporter, Shay Mons. Then you go over here. I used to think that graphic novels were all about superheroes. Until one day. Wait a second. Notice she's reading a graphic novel, the one new kid that was referenced in the article. Now I realize that they can be about anything. Who's she talking to? Says the dog. So that's just a cute little way to illustrate what was written on the page. And if you wanted to go to this article and maybe you wanted to read some more of the pages, then you could certainly do that by going to the Time for Kids link that I have in my Google Classroom. If your teacher doesn't have that, you can ask her for the link, or I can provide that for you. You can ask me for that, and I'd be happy to provide that for you as well. But it's got some other interesting articles as well. And that's it.